How can we support economic self-sufficiency for returnees? That is today's topic, and you're welcome to the Talk2Connect podcast, the 5th episode this season. My name is Lisa Tallroth, and with the Talk2Connect podcast and webcasts, we aim to bring caseworkers within voluntary return and reintegration closer together. We want you to share experience and insights, whether you work for a state agency or an NGO, whether you work in Europe or in countries of origin. All previous episodes are available on YouTube. Look for Talk2Connect Return. To have an occupation, an income, and to be able to support for yourself and your family, that is key to all of us. And for the returning migrants, very often the immediate problem they face straight upon returning. In today's podcast, we will discuss how reintegration support programs can help returnees to enter the job market and achieve economic self-sufficiency. Myself and the Talk2Connect team were located at the Swedish Migration Agency in Stockholm, but let me introduce today's guests who are elsewhere in the world. Usually located in Dhaka, Bangladesh, but today in Bangkok, Mr. Shariful Islam, Associated Director for BRAC Migration Program and Youth Platform. Welcome to Talk2Connect. You work with BRAC, one of the largest development organizations in the world, based in Bangladesh, and your specific area is, tell me.
For last 7 years, I am heading this Department of Migration of BRAC, wherever we deal the reintegration issues from returnees. And also we have two more focus. One is to ensure the migration safe, orderly and regularly, and also same times we work for combating human trafficking and smuggling of migrants so that people don't go to Europe or anywhere irregularly. So that's our three focus. And I also look at the youth platform of BRAC. So last 7 years I'm working for BRAC.
Welcome to the podcast also, Miss Helena Debrouwere. That was a hard name. We were practicing on the Flemish. Debrouwere.
It's fine. It's almost there. Debrouwere, yes.
You are working at Fedasil, the Belgian federal agency for the reception of asylum seekers, who also offers program for voluntary return and return counseling. And you did yourself return counseling. You worked as a counselor before, but what is your job today?
Well, I recently changed position, so I've been working as a counselor for the last 7 years, and a few months ago, since September, I changed, and now I'm more in the logistics because Fedasil and Belgium State Agency recently had a cooperation with Frontex. So I'm now in the Frontex team, which is booking flights, finding routes for countries that are a bit difficult to reach. I'm also the coordinator of the social escort pool. So if people need to be accompanied, so I'm more on the logistics side. But I've been a counselor for 7 years in Belgium. And before that, in total, I already worked 15 years for the state agency, and I was in the reception of asylum seekers. So practically my whole career, I'm in the migration sector. So it's all I know.
Then we're in good company. And since I think that this is really the point, that you work on different sides. Helena, you work with the pre-departure side and the support that it can be provided already in Europe. And Shariful, you work with the support once the migrant is back in the home country. So I'm really curious to hear your different perspectives on what is needed when it comes to helping the returnees to enter the job market and be able to make a sustainable income. And maybe we should start with you, Shariful, because I read a report that BRAC presented in 2020. That was in the midst of the pandemic. But then you revealed a report concluding that 52% of the returnees in Bangladesh needed financial aid on an emergency basis. That is a huge amount, huge need. What is the situation today, 3 years later?
Thank you, Lisa. I think as you can hear from both parts, from Bangladesh and also from Europe parts, I think it will be a fruitful discussion. But to answer of your questions that you asked, that what's the return or economic livelihood matters. But once we have developed in BRAC or also from our experiences, we have saw that reintegration, if we really want to make it sustainable, so it's not only the economic component. So we have developed, there are three components, because one is that psychosocial counseling, which you had as a counselor. Another is, then the second one is economic reintegration. Then third one is social reintegration. Why we are saying that? Because for the first one to do anything, the person's mental condition should be very good. Otherwise, to start a business or library is not problem, because the people who are coming back from Europe, they thought that he can stay there more, like from peoples like Bangladesh who goes to Europe, they think that they'll stay there forever, they will get a citizenship there. Or so when they are bound to return, either volunteer or forcefully, even sometimes a charter flight, so they are not yet ready that they can come and everything will be fine. So that's why what we do, we have developed a reintegration where three component, that we go for scanning for the first psychosocial counseling, that if he or she needs some counseling, so that, because everybody blame her when he comes in Bangladesh, that why you have come, did you do a crime, why the other people are not coming. So that's why he finds a situation where traumatized, and sometimes the mental situation is not good. So first we try to give him in first airport support, what's happened, and then after airport support we scan that psychosocial counseling, what is standard, general standard questionnaire, that what is mental strength. Then after sometimes, if we feel that now he's fine to start something, then we think about economic reintegration part. And on economic reintegration part, suddenly we do ask him or that do something. We try to discuss him weeks after weeks, that what he did in Europe, where he good at, what the money he has, what is he interested in, and in his living village or districts, what are the formal or informal economy there are. So discussing all of this from him, then we help them that, okay, this could be your ideas, or this could be a plan. Okay, you are getting some amount from Europe through European Union on ERIN or Frontex, and you can get more from referral service, from microfinance and bank. So this could be your proposal of business and others. Then we help them to start this through close mentoring. And I have also mentioned the social reintegration, because so that his family members, community members doesn't blame him that why he did return. So we have seen that if somebody's reintegrations in all the components are very good in psychosocial, social, and economic, it's really become effective. So last 7 years is BRAC, my team, which I am leading. So we have psychosocial counselor, we have people who do the economic business plan, and also work with community. So we have reintegrated for more than 7,000 people.
But I need to ask you, I mean, unemployment and having a hardship, being able to support for yourself, that is often the driving to migration, right? So that is often the reason why people from Bangladesh migrated in the first place. So how do you help people to get a fresh start and to, succeed better this time?
It's a very important question. So yes, definitely you are right that people from Bangladesh who are going to Europe, that probably they are going to economic reason. And Bangladesh is one of the top countries from where people migrate. About is world 6 top countries who send workers, and most of them go to Middle East. According to our official data, there are more than 10 millions of Bangladeshis, and 75% of them are in Middle Eastern countries. If you see the official data to Europe, it's less than 1 or 2%. So, but unofficial channel, a large number of people go to their in Europe, especially after 2015, where there was a crisis in Syria, Afghanistan, and Libya. So a large number of people are trying to enter Europe through irregular channels, and Bangladeshis were also in of their queue. So now your question is why the people leave. So the difference is that people in Bangladesh share the belief that if they can migrate abroad, all their problems will be solved. They will earn money. And here, most of the people, they migrate to Middle East countries. The people who are migrate to Europe, all of them are not poor. We have done a research that people who are going there, we have seen that people who are going to Europe, they are spending 5,000 to 10,000 euro even. Many of them had a very good jobs or business there. So they are going to Europe in a hope that they will earn euro, they will live there, and everybody will say that, okay, he lives in Europe. So most of the times, economic and also social reason that people here believe that I can give you some districts in Bangladesh. There are 64 districts, but there are some districts in Bangladesh from where people move, like Shariatpur, Madaripur, Gopalganj, Sylhet. There is a village in Shariatpur. It names Italipara. That means people of that region, most of them are in Italy. So that means people in that regions, especially when they school drop out or college, they think that I will go to Europe. It's not always the economic reason. Somehow they believe that it's the dream that if I can move to Europe, all my problem will solve. So both the economic and social reasons are there, and more social or prestige adding with economic.
Okay. Yeah, and Helena, I'm thinking your job working for Fedasil in Belgium, you meet the migrant where the dream of making a successful living in Europe has more or less ended, or stranded at least, because they are at the point where they need to return. Tell me a little bit about what you see. I just assume that fear of unemployment and poverty is something you need to address, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, it's true that they come to Europe with a certain dream, and when they end up with me in the office, they have realized that that dream was not realistic, and it's a very sad story. But from this acceptance or knowing and seeing with their own eyes it doesn't work, there can be new sprouts coming out, and it's also something we use, because the fact that they come to us voluntarily, they come to my office and they say, help me to return, means that, okay, they had made the decision to return, which can take a very long time. It's not a process we often see, because they do it with their own social worker or they with friends, and the minute they come to the office, they have made the decision, I want to go back. And if they made that decision, it means that they realize it's not going to work in Europe. And it also gives an opening to talk about going back and starting a new future. The difficulty in that is that when they have made a decision, it has to go very fast. They would have rather returned yesterday than tomorrow, because they made that big decision and they're all full of stress also, because it's a very big decision. And then we in Belgium, we are very well, the most important thing is the reintegration and the business project. Sometimes people, when you talk about business, they see big fabrics, and that's something we have to clarify, that if we talk about business, it's really small scaled. I can give a lot of examples. It depends on where in the world you go to, because I see people from really all over the world, also Bangladeshi people, but I see Africans, I see Iraqi people. So you also have to really look with them. That's why we call it tailor-made. It's not like you go to Iraq, you have this program, you go to Russia, you have this program. No, it's who are you? What have you done in your country of origin? What have you done in Belgium? Because that's also very important, because if they had an asylum procedure, most of the time they've been in Belgium for a very long time. During asylum procedure, some had some training, they are able to work, so they have experience. So we try to put all this experience together and see if they can use it. It takes some time, because you have to force the people to think in another way. The situation in the home country has changed. They have changed. They have new experiences. They have certain situations that are more difficult or less difficult. So I really try to look to the person who's sitting in front of him, asking, okay, what do you like to do? What have you done to make it? Because you can talk about, and you can start a small business, but what does that mean, starting a small business? So I start asking questions. What kind of jobs did you do here? And what kind of jobs did you do back in your home country? And then we're starting to make a kind of plan. It goes from buying 10 chickens and selling the eggs to starting really a small business in the village. It's really so vast, all these possibilities. But the most important, I think, is that it's something from the person himself, that he came with the idea and that you help to develop it. Because that's, for me, I think, and from experience, the most sustainable. What we also do is that if we see that it's a bit blocked or they have no ID, we try to make calls, Skype calls or conference calls with the partner who is going to guide them in the country of origin. So we have two big partners, IOM and Caritas. So with those two big partners, we have all over the world, we have partners, and we try to put up a call so they can talk to each other. Also, some have like really, they all want to buy a car and have a taxi. But you're not going to earn money if half of the country has a taxi and you're going to, or they don't have a driver license, or they need to also accept that everything has to go within the rules. You need receipts, invoices, even if they say, yeah, but in my country it's not necessary. We know, but we are obliged to have invoices. So then we set up a call with a partner in the country of origin so that they can talk about their IDs and he can give feedback, because I cannot go into detail from every country because it's too much.
But I'm a bit curious to hear, because about these three dimensions that Shariful mentioned in the beginning, economic, social, and psychosocial. I mean, it's quite easy to see that the economic part is on top of mind. I mean, how will I be able to support for myself? And maybe it's harder, I imagine, to be aware of the help you might need when it comes to psychosocial or social support. Or that was just my pre-assumption. What do you say, Helena? How do you approach and think around these three dimensions and how they are intertwined?
Well, I think the three dimensions has the same value. They're very important, and we have to deal with the three dimensions. If one of the dimensions is not very developed, it will have an effect on the other ones. If you're not feeling well, if you have some struggle in your family, because returning home is quite a taboo in a lot of countries, because you didn't succeed, you didn't bring money back home, you use a lot of money of the family. So there is no point to have a superb business plan while you know there's going to be struggle in the family. It's not going to work. So those three dimensions are connected, and you cannot just treat one. You have to treat all of them, and that's not easy, because we are we think that a sustainable return is going to happen if you prepare well, and to prepare you need time. And there you have this conflict between the returnee who wants to return as soon as possible, and we are like, no, first we have to do this, then we have to do that. You have to finish your life here also. So it's sometimes there's a friction, but we know that it's going to be better for the returnee, and we also explain, and then at the end, but you have to do all three of them, otherwise it's not going to work. Even if you do all three of them, it's already going to be difficult. We are very realistic in it. You're not going to go back and there's like a perfect job waiting for you and everything is going to be fine. So we try really to be realistic and listen to them, what their fears are or their concerns, and try to find a solution with them. So tailor-made is really the key word in our program.
But Shariful, may I ask you, economic support is still really at the core of many reintegration programs. And I'd imagine it's easier to ask for economic help than for psychosocial help. Do you recognize this? And how do you approach this for migrants that might be just having focus? Please help me to get a job. I'm not really interested in the rest.
Very true, very true. So when you design that, and especially when they come, returnees like Bangladesh from Pakistan or India from Afghanistan, when they come, their first thing is that when they're getting some economic support, their top of the mind is that they want to start their business and others. And a country like in Asia, so people here don't care much about this mental health issues. They even don't understand that it's a priority important issues. So always their mind is this economic issues. Even they are in traumatized, going to some mental health problem, and if he or she says that I am going some trauma, I need to go to doctors or counselor, most of the family members other will say that, are you mad? So it means that until you are mad, you don't go to a psychiatrist or psychosocial counselor. So on that context, yes, it's really tough on that when they come for the money, especially as we're implementing the reintegration in European Union, Frontex. So and even Erin European Return and Reintegration, the first phases. So on Erin call, it was that we'll only deliver their economic reintegration part. So, but we told them that from our experiences in grassroots and field, we have seen that what we have already heard that if social, psychosocial, and economic, all three are not in places, if any of them are trouble, the reintegration will not be sustainable. That's why we told them then Erin that we will offer psychosocial counseling from our own, because we have seen from our evidence that these three dimensions really help. So that's why anybody come within couples of months, we try to ensure this psychosocial counseling, but you are absolutely right. That top of mind is always for this economic reintegration.
I was thinking of what Helena mentioned before, that often time is short. Once you have decided to return, yes, time is short. And these things that you describe, I mean, apart from handling the social and psychosocial dimension, then to land back in your home country, to receive these trainings, to set up a business. I mean, building a business, that is quite... that takes time. You need to invest time, yeah, and often also money that you might don't have. And I'd imagine that this is, making an income, that is something that stresses you from day one once you landed. So although, I mean, I can see that migrants would really benefit from having the time to heal and to train and to build up their life again over time. Is that time available really for... Or how? I mean, do we have? I guess that both of you feel that you have to stress this process, yeah, to really, yeah, reach the point where they can start making a living. Can you tell me a little bit how you handle that? Well, the knowledge of stress really in this matter.
Yeah, it's really a timely matter. It's not that he has come and the next 2 weeks we are doing a business plan and after 15 days his reintegration is not that so easy. It's a complex and time-lengthy process. It takes sometimes 6 months to even 1 year. So especially for the counseling part, psychosocial counseling and mental health problem, is need immediately when he returns, immediately with 2 or 3 days. So in our model and practice also do that for sustainable reintegration, other than in airport, what to do that, because in airport everybody is in hurry. He want to leave the airport, he immediately want to go. So that times, if he is not more traumatized, sometimes we find returnees who was sometimes drug addicted or sometimes in trauma situation, then, and even sometimes in his doctors. So we try to assign doctors and counsel and others. So some of the people, they need mental health trauma immediately. Other than this, once we do that in airport, after getting them, we ask them that just opposite of airport, we have a big center where thousands of people can accommodate. We bring them to come with our staffs and others. We bring them, we talk them, our counselor immediately talk to them, and we offer them that if you want to stay here, you can stay after 2 or 3 days. If you want to go. Then we talk with them. Then we give them that when you return to your districts, these are the BRAC offices, these are the people you can go. Then we also inform our people that these are the persons who have returned, communicate with them. So it's a two-way communication. Then our people go and we try to assess through that worst system. And most of the times our experience is that 1/3 of the returnees, they need follow-up counseling. It's not that everybody's mental condition is so bad, but we try to ensure 1 or 2 counseling. Our psychosocial counselor, when assessment and give some counseling with 1 to 2 or 3 months, that okay, he's fine. Now we can discuss the other part, that's economic parts and career parts or livelihood part. Then our another planner, business planner, try to discuss with him that what he did there, what your past experience, we have a details profiling, what's economic conditions, social conditions, your debt, your family members, what the assets he have, what the skills have. With on detailing, we try to profile that, okay, now which will go for the next stage. Then discussing with him, we make a business plan. And with European Union, we do this business approval in our own country, but for Frontex or Erin, the business plan have to approved by this Erin or Frontex or sometimes the member countries. So when they approve this, then we tell this, okay, your economic integration plans and it's approved. So on that day, we'll give you the services. And here also, like an organization for BRACs and others, we really go to an accountable and transparent process, that from where we are not giving him direct cash. We're asking him that which is the business plan you want to do, then we'll pay for them as an in-kind, as a financial assistance. Then also we need to transparency, that from where he's buying, is all the process is fine, then, and also documentation is very much needed. So we all go to these processes. Then start the business, and even then we follow up. And also we sensitize the community. So whole of the processes, sometimes it takes on average 3 months, 4 months to 6 months, 7 months, and even 1 year. So we really take time in each stages, and we try to see that all sequences are is aligned or not. Person to person, it's also vary. Region to region, it's also vary. Country to country, it's also vary. So that's my individual plan is really important, and to discuss it and to listen with him, that's also really very much. And here, the trust is more important. He doesn't, and at the very beginning, he doesn't trust anyone. That's why he has been returned. So he has an angriness. So building this trust as soon as we can do, then the other parties become more easier.
Helena, you, well, listening to this, and also about building trust, and I was a bit curious what questions you get from the migrants when you meet them, concerning the support they will receive, whether it's in cash, in kind. What do they? Yeah, what kind of questions? What kind of worries do they have around this?
Yeah. Well, one of the main questions is how much will I get? We often receive phone calls also with these questions. We are very strict on that we will only talk about amounts once they're in the office, so that we can explain the whole process, because otherwise you get this, we call it this cowboy stories that goes around. We really want to explain how the process works. Like Hassan said, it's not like you will arrive in the country 2 weeks later, your business will be up and running and you will earn money. It's not like that. So we put a lot of effort in that to explain to them that it's not going to work, because it's a feedback we get a lot from the countries of origin, that we have to prepare them well. It's difficult because we do say that a lot. You won't receive any cash money. It's not cash money. It's a support you will get to help to build your business. And it's difficult because you can repeat it 10 times and still they will arrive in the country of origin and they will say, yeah, where is my money? Where is my money? I need my money now. So what we try to do is the whole process of applying for voluntary return and then really going back, it takes at least minimum 3 appointments in the office. So between those appointments, there's, let's say, 1 week, sometimes it goes faster, but we try to have these different moments of contact so that in between there is some time so they can process the information, and then new questions will come up in the next appointment, and then you can go further and more thorough and more explaining. We also try to avoid that the period before returning is stressful, meaning we have a lot of homeless people that are on the street, and if you're on the street you cannot prepare anything. You're just busy surviving, finding food and finding a place to sleep. So that's something we are very keen on, that if they sign up for a voluntary return, we will give them a place in a center so they have the time to relax and to just we don't put a limit on that. If they need time to take some time to rest and to think through, because going back needs a lot of preparation. So we make sure that the period before going back is as steady and as peaceful as possible. Because if your mind is full with stress, you cannot think about the future. And it's that thinking about the future and developing and talking about it is really important to get something, so that in the country of origin, they don't have these kind of problems. What I also do is I ask always open questions, because then you get a lot of input, and you don't have to, because we were talking about the three components, so psychosocial, economic. We will never talk about it like that to the migrant. We have three components because it's the word psychosocial that they will say, I'm not crazy, I don't have to do this. So we don't say that. We just have a conversation, we have a talk. The minute somebody walks in my office, I will always say, how can I help you? Because then you get a lot of input. They start talking about their life and you get a lot of things. So in my head, I will note them down and look, I have to go into that. They will talk about, some of them, they really need to do their story. They had a negative answer, they've been on the street, they need to ventilate. And it's, if you don't do that, it will come out at a certain point in the process and you're not prepared to it. These things have to come out and then you can start really preparing with the practical stuff. It all depends on who is sitting in front of you. You really have to see who is sitting here, what are his needs.
We need to wrap this up. It is a long conversation and it should go on. But for the moment, I think we need to wrap it up. But I wonder if you have any, given that we hope counselors across Europe and also in countries of origin listens to this, do you have any short takeaway for them or a message? If you do work within counseling for returnees, what would you wish for? If you get to start, you get to start, Helena.
Oh, sorry. What I've seen in my experience is if you give people the time in advance to prepare well, meaning you need to facilitate the circumstances, like providing them with shelter and food, you will have a more sustainable reintegration and return. If you give them money, here's your plane ticket and just go. The pre-departure counseling is so important, and it's not only enough to say, okay, we'll take the time. You also need to provide the infrastructure to take the time, because somebody is sleeping on the street, he cannot take time. So that's something I think is really important, that you take time. And okay, they're in a hurry, but if you explain and you give them a place to sleep and they have some time, they will accept, because they're in a hurry, because they want to go, because they don't have any place to sleep or they don't have money anymore. So for me, that's very, very, the pre-departure counseling, taking time and providing the accommodation, that's really, and not putting pressure on the migrant. Let them make their own decision, even if they're driven by circumstances, but let them be the one saying, okay, now I'm leaving.
And Mr. Shariful Islam, do you have any last takeaway for the listeners?
I will conclude with these things you were asking. That's the counseling. The whole reintegration really is tough. The who deliver the service is really a tough job, because the persons who have traumatized, who have returned somewhere to reintegrate them in society, it's not an easy job. It's really a tough job. It's not a 9-5 job only. Sometimes they will call at midnight. Sometimes they will call at when you're thinking that what's my condition, what's my support is going to, when I will get this. So all times you have to, so you need some extra care and it's some extra passion. And I will conclude with the word that empathy, humanity, that's really need for whole migrations and reintegration sectors. So to care someone, to listen to someone. So these are the word caring, the empathy or humanity. I think these are the solution. It's not the money, it's not the border, it's not the restriction, it's not the war, it's the humanity which really can save the world, which really can help the people.
Great last words. Great way to end this conversation and podcast. Thank you so much, Shariful Islam, Associated Director for BRAC Migration Program and Youth Platform. Thank you for joining us. And also thank you to Helena Debrouwere, working at Fedasil in Belgium. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
So that's it for today. My name is Lisa Tallroth, and all the Talk2Connect pod and webcasts are available at YouTube and also at the RRF website. You look for Talk2Connect Return. We have a last webcast, including a webinar coming up in December 13. So do make sure to register if you want to join this webcast, including a webinar part when we will look into the EU strategy on voluntary return and reintegration and also the new role of Frontex. Jon Thunqvist is today's editor, and thank you so much for listening.
This podcast is a production from the Swedish Migration Agency, produced with the financial assistance of the European Union and contracted by ICMPD through the Talk2Connect grant. And the content is the sole responsibility of the Swedish Migration Agency and not reflecting the position of the European Union or ICMPD.